about all the other champions in that division? You got Scott Quigg, Carl Frampton, Guillermo Rigondeaux.
I'm gonna get the opportunity, boy. You working your ass off, don't you?
Hey, that's what we do. That's what we do.
Deontay's Boxing Nation. I see it, baby. Y'all the man.
That's what it is.
I love it. I love what you're doing for boxing.
Thank you, man.
Don't stop. Keep on going strong. Keep on going hard. A lot of big fights coming this year. A lot of big fights.
Hi, this is Brittany Madison, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So it was just a couple days ago that Gennady Golovkin set the record straight that he never accused Andre Ward of ducking him. So in other words, everything that Andre Ward said was true. Everything that we heard that Golovkin said in some interview was untrue. Right? I find it very interesting that Golovkin, he made sure he cleared that up. In fact, after that article came out, Andre Ward confronted Gennady Golovkin's promoter, Tom Loeffler, and he basically told him to stop with the lies. When he told Tom that, all of a sudden, we get a retraction by Gennady Golovkin. I mean, this is really getting ridiculous, guys. There has been an emergence of double standards in the sport of boxing, just like there has been an emergence of innocent, unarmed black and brown kids getting murdered by police officers in the last couple of years, if you really think about it. Why is it we are granted permission to put pressure on Carl Froch to fight Golovkin? We're granted permission to force or put pressure on Cotto or Canelo to fight Gennady Golovkin. But when it comes to asking Golovkin to fight Andre Ward, that's off limits. How does this work? How does this work? Now, when fighters on a coincidental list like Edeslani Lara and Andre Ward call out Gennady Golovkin, you got Edeslani Lara saying, hey Golovkin, I'm willing to move up to a higher weight class and fight you. Hey Golovkin, if you're going to fight a southpaw that fights similar to me like Willie Monroe, why don't you just fight me instead? You know, I fought on a pay-per-view card with Canelo Alvarez. Why don't you fight me, Golovkin, if there's no one else to fight? This is what Edeslani Lara is saying to Golovkin and saying to the media. Andre Ward is saying, hey Golovkin, if no one else is willing to fight you, guess what? I'm considered pound for pound number 2 the best fighter in the world. If you could put someone like me on your resume, that would catapult your career to top 2, top 3 pound for pound best fighter in the world. If you could beat me, right? Hey Golovkin, you claim you want to move up to 168 and you're willing to do anything to fight Carl Froch, a guy that I already beat. So if you want to fight the guys that I already beat, how about you cut out the middleman and go straight to the main prize and fight the guy that is sitting at the top of the throne? This is what Andre Ward is saying to Gennady Golovkin. Once again, he is saying this also to the media so that they can hear him loud and clear. Now, when Edeslani Lara and Andre Ward put pressure on Gennady Golovkin, and we speak on it and we say, yeah, you know, that's a great idea. We all know now David Lemieux is out. We know that Canelo Cotto is out. We know Mayweather may be out, right, when it comes to Gennady Golovkin. Carl Froch may be out. If all of those opponents are unavailable, why would Golovkin not fight an Edeslani Lara, who is a bigger name than Willie Monroe, or fight Andre Ward, whose name is bigger than Willie Monroe? and Edeslani Lara. Now, this is where the politics and the double standards kick in. When it comes to ESPN's Dan Rafael, we all know that he is one of the most influential members of the media in the sport today. We know this. And we don't even have to beat around the bush. We know that he is one of the most biased members of the media as well. As a matter of fact, you don't believe me, I can prove it with what he just did recently. Now, I just told you how Edeslani Lara and Andre Ward, they are aggressively calling out Gennady Golovkin. When they call out Golovkin, Dan Rafael and other members of the media, they have nothing to say. They don't even care when Lara and Ward is calling out Triple G. But when Golovkin calls out Froch, and Froch says, I'm too big, I'm too strong, and he's saying all this other stuff, Dan Rafael personally reaches out to call Froch to basically say, hey man, you're talking all that stuff, why don't you step your game up and why don't you fight him? If you're not going to fight him, you need to remain silent. This is pretty much what he said. And when it comes to that, I actually agree with Dan Rafael. I was thinking the same thing. Carl Froch keeps popping up out of nowhere saying, I'm too strong, I'm too big, and, whatever, right? When it comes to Golovkin, but he won't sign the contract. Now, like I said, who knows? Maybe that fight may still happen. I agree with Dan Rafael when he put that pressure on Carl Froch. The problem I have with people like Dan Rafael is why didn't you put that same pressure on Golovkin when he had two great possible opponents calling him out? Could it possibly be because they're both on a coincidental list and you don't want anyone on the coincidental list to have any chance of beating Gennady Golovkin? Could that be the reason why you didn't care when they was calling out Golovkin? And then you have Jim Lampley, who turns to the camera immediately following Sergey Kovalev's impressive knockout over John Pascal. And Jim Lampley, he calls out Adonis Stevens for Sergey Kovalev, right? Putting a lot of pressure on Adonis to take that challenge. Once again, why are we granted permission to put pressure on Adonis Stevenson to fight Kovalev, but our access is denied when it comes to putting pressure on Golovkin to fight Ward or Edeslani Lara? You guys have to remember, it doesn't matter who you think will win the fight. You could say, oh, Golovkin would beat Lara easy. That's fine to say that. But you knew that Golovkin was going to beat Adama easy, and you had no problem with Golovkin fighting Adama, right? You believed that Golovkin was going to beat Willie Monroe easy, but you had no problem with him fighting Willie Monroe, right? So what is the problem with him fighting Lara? What is the problem with him fighting against Andre Ward? Well, we know what the problem is with him fighting Andre Ward. Andre Ward would most likely beat Golovkin because he has the tools to do it. I mean, I know Golovkin fans hate to hear this, and I like Golovkin a lot, but I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat things and try to tell you what you want to hear just because Golovkin is a cool guy. This is the reason why casinos have a favorite and an underdog. Matter of fact, for the last 5 years, Manny Pacquiao was the underdog to Floyd Mayweather. And Floyd Mayweather was, of course, the favorite. But did that mean that Floyd Mayweather was the casino's favorite fighter and they liked Floyd Mayweather more than Manny Pacquiao? Of course not. It just meant that they thought by just looking at the attributes and the stats that Floyd Mayweather had a better chance of beating Pacquiao than vice versa. And they were right. Just like if Andre Ward fights Gennady Golovkin, I think we all know that Golovkin will be the underdog. And of course, Andre Ward will be the favorite to win the fight. right? We know this already. So why is it the odd makers, they can pretty much say the same thing that I've been saying to you guys for the longest, which is Andre Ward will most likely beat Golovkin. But when I say it, it's a problem. You're hating on Golovkin, etc., etc. How is it possible that people call Floyd Mayweather the biggest chicken and a coward for the last 5 years because we didn't see the Pacquiao fight? But when it comes to Golovkin, who's actually older than Andre Ward, he's in his 30s. Okay? You can't use the excuse that he's still young, he's only 22, he's only 23. No. Golovkin is in his 30s. He's older than Andre Ward. But when we put pressure on Golovkin to fight Ward, like Dan Rafael was just putting pressure on Carl Froch, now you're hating. Now you're hating on Golovkin. But Dan Rafael, he wasn't hating on Carl Froch, right? Come on, man. We know what time it is. Once again, when Golovkin was coming up and he wanted to fight Sergio Martinez, I was granted permission to put pressure on Sergio Martinez to fight Golovkin. But I don't get the permission to put pressure on Golovkin to fight Ward. What part of the game is this? I mean, this is 2015. When are all fighters going to be created equal in this sport? Right? You know, it was something Andre Ward said that I totally agree with. When Andre Ward confronted Golovkin's promoter, Tom Loeffler, he basically said to him, he said, listen, man, if you guys are trying to build up the fight, just tell the truth. Just go ahead and say that's what you guys are trying to do, but don't lie to the public. Don't lie to the public, because there's a lot of ignorant fans out there that will basically just believe anything that they hear, right? That's pretty much what he said. Don't lie to the public. Just be real. And I've always said this about Golovkin. I would respect it more, or I would respect Golovkin more, if he would just come out and say, look, guys, Andre Ward is the most dangerous fighter out there for me to face. He is the best. He's the most talented, and he will give me my hardest fight. I would like to wait a while before I take on that challenge. You know, I would respect him more if he said something like that. Matter of fact, I remember when Oscar De La Hoya was in his prime, and he was one of the welterweight champions. I believe at the time that he was champion, Ike Corte, James Page, and Jose Lopez, I believe he was the mandatory for a couple of those guys, right? But James Page, Ike Corte, and Oscar De La Hoya, they were the three champions at the time. Oscar De La Hoya, he believed that Jose Lopez, the guy that they used to call the Mexican surfer because he was straight from Mexico, but he loved to surf, Oscar De La Hoya believed, because he was this aggressive, come forward, terrific chin, hard puncher, Oscar believed that he would be his most difficult fight, right? So Oscar told the public, after avoiding him for quite some time as his mandatory, he finally told the public, he said, look, man, Jose Lopez is probably going to be my most difficult opponent, so I'm going to wait to fight him. He said it, right? And everyone in the media and all the fans, I believe the majority of them, they respected him for being honest about it. But the story didn't end the way Oscar De La Hoya thought it would, because inevitably it was Ike Corte out of the bunch that was the first one to jump up and say, I'll fight this guy. And matter of fact, I remember Ike Corte saying, leading up to the Jose Lopez fight, he said nobody wanted to fight this guy. Oscar De La Hoya didn't want to fight him. I was the only one that was willing to fight this man, right? And Ike Corte, originally he ended up winning the fight, but then they changed it to a draw. One judge, it was a majority draw. One judge had Corte winning, and the other two judges had it a draw. Then after Jose Lopez had a draw with Ike Corte, he fought the other champion, the American champion, James Page, and he lost. And after that loss, because that was a big loss, Jose Lopez, he basically became irrelevant in the division. So when Oscar De La Hoya thought that Jose Lopez was going to be his toughest fight out of the bunch, it turned out fighters like Ike Corte, Shane Mosley, Tito Trinidad, and other fighters that he lost to, like Floyd Mayweather, they actually became the toughest opponents for him to face because he lost to all of them, right? But once again, the point that I was making is Golovkin, he should take notes from Oscar De La Hoya and just come flat out and give Andre Ward his respect. Give the man his props. That's what I would do, because I'm going to be real with you right now. Yeah, if I was anywhere near Andre Ward, I wouldn't want to fight him either. And if I was Golovkin's promoter and my job is to just keep Golovkin winning, I wouldn't want him to fight Andre Ward. But the difference from me, if I was Golovkin's promoter, is I would give Ward his props. I will say, whoa, 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 we might not be ready for that challenge yet. Let's go ahead and build that one up because that's going to be a very difficult fight to win. Nacho Beristain, I remember I was there interviewing Nacho before his charge. Johnny Gonzalez fought Gary Russell. And he told us, he was very honest. He said, man, this is going to be a very difficult fight. Like I said, it sounded like deep down, he knew that Gary Russell was going to beat his fighter. That's how he sounded. He said, this is going to be a very difficult fight. Gary Russell's a southpaw. He's very slick, has a lot of speed. He kept saying it over and over. This is going to be a very difficult fight. That's how I would be if I was Tom. I'd just be telling people, listen, Andre Ward is a beast. He's not considered pound for pound number 2 the best in the world for no reason, right? We're going to have to build on that fight. Let's go ahead and, take on some, easier challenges for now. Let's fight the Willie Monroes, the Adamas, the smaller fighters, and eventually we'll work our way to an Andre Ward. But right now, Golovkin is not ready because that's what you call speaking the whole truth. I'll leave you guys with this question. If Golovkin is not going to fight Froch, Mayweather, Cotto, Canelo, David Lemieux next, or even James DeGale, please give me a reason why he shouldn't fight either Erislandy Lara or Andre Ward when we just seen him fight Willie Monroe. Now, if your answer is not because Ward is going to be a very, very difficult fight, then please give me a logical explanation why you don't want to see him up against Lara or Ward next when all the other options are unavailable. That's all I got. I'm on to the next one.